Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Damien with White Belt Goons. I want to offer a little bit of Monday motivation. Yesterday on my White Belt Goons page, most of my content that I put up on the White Belt Goons page, it's cross-posted. So this video is in response to a comment that I just read on my page in a situation that happened yesterday. A comment on my page, we were talking about the fact that a lot of the stuff that I put up on the White Belt Goons page is cross-posted to the BJJ Fanatics page. And this person had said, hey, I really like what you're doing here. I like the fact that you have this group for us, but maybe let's not post or cross-post in BJJ Fanatics because, and this is referencing what happened yesterday, a lot of times upper belts, unfortunately sometimes black belts, they comment really negative things. Everything that I post is posted out of good faith. I ask questions that drive dialogue. If you don't know, my degree is in communication. I absolutely love to talk. I absolutely love to have these conversations, which is why I have this page. But it opens up the discussion for both positive comments and negative comments. And we received some really negative comments yesterday. There was a lot of negativity coming from some upper belts and in particular one or two black belts. A lot of things, if you guys are on these pages, you'll see people that'll say things like white belts shouldn't be talking, white belts don't have any experience to offer their comments on anything, just general internet troll type stuff. And I think that this attitude, this negative attitude towards white belts, a lot of it is just generalized hazing, but some of it is really, really toxic. And I think that if you've been in the game for a year, you've been in the game for 2 years, 3 years, you've seen people who've come into jiu-jitsu who are over the age of 40, and it's not a place where they want to stay. I mean, if you're looking at it objectively, you're talking about people who are husbands, who are fathers, and there's women too, mothers, wives, whatever, people who are successful in their life, and then they come into this environment and they have people who are talking down to them. And a lot of times the upper belts and even the black belts, they can be in their early 30s. Some of them can be in their late 20s or mid 20s. So you're talking about this dichotomy of people who are older, who are more established, who are more successful, and then they come into this environment. It's already awkward. You're rolling with people, you're touching people, you're in close proximity. Someone's trying to choke you, right? Or break your arm, so to speak. And then you have people that are offering this toxicity. And a lot of people just don't want to put up with the bullshit. If you're in a position where, you have other things going on in life, you're like, hey, I don't need this. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is that, directly after having some of these negative interactions yesterday and going back and forth with people, I went to Open Mat. And I go to Open Mat, and this is a gym where this Open Mat has numerous black belts who are on the mat, right? Like some open mats you go to and you have like one or two black belts that are walking the floor and they're kind of watching everything. And that happens here as well. But at this particular open mat that I go to on Sundays, there's like 4, 5, 6 black belts that are actually on the floor rolling, and they're rolling with everybody. They're rolling with the white belts, the blue belts, purple belts, so on and so forth. One of the first things that happened when I walked into the gym yesterday, and this happens every Sunday, the owner of the gym, he's always so gracious. He's like, oh my God, glad you're here. Good to see you. Comes over, hugs me, and then immediately the other black belt comes in and he's like, hey, I saw your video on the break fall, and I just wanted to give you some tips, because he's a judoka, right? So he was like, your video was great, and you really helped this guy. I love what you're doing. I just wanted to give you 2 or 3 pointers, for your own benefit, for your own knowledge. In judo, this is how we do the break fall. This is what I would say was missing from your video if you were to ever make another video about this. And here's some information for you, just so you know, moving forward for your own personal safety. That was 180 degrees different from the interaction that I had on the post, right? And so I say this to say that, much like every other aspect of jiu-jitsu, it all comes down to what you choose to focus on, right? You can choose to focus on the negativity, or you can focus on the positivity. And it's a duality of polarization. There are equally as many great people in this sport and in this culture as there are toxic people. Just like there was negativity on the interactive post yesterday, there was also several black belts who commented and said great positive things. So I know that if you are coming into this sport and you're a little bit older and you're a white belt, sometimes you just feel like, man, like I don't need to put up with this shit. Like I don't need to struggle and deal with like all of the anxiety that comes with going onto the mat. We've talked about that, right? I don't need to go to a competition and get beat up or or get embarrassed in front of my wife and kids. And I don't need to deal with negativity on social media. Like the world is negative enough. I just don't need it. My advice to you would be to say this. Yes, that is true, and that happens. But I have also come across so many great people in this sport, in this environment, and I've really found that there are so many people that are at that upper echelon, that upper level, that are so willing to help, and they're so positive, and they're so helpful in guiding us through this journey. So it really comes down to just understanding that this sport is no different than anything else. Guys, I served 6 years in the military, and when I was in the military, the attitude was no different, right? You know, everybody in the military serves a function. Everybody is integral to the success of the mission, right? But at the end of the day, if you work in the chow hall, if you work, you know, on the maintenance line, if you work on the flight line, all of these jobs are important, but you're not the tip of the spear, right? You're not a Navy SEAL. You're not an Army Ranger, right? And even if you are a Navy SEAL or you are an Army Ranger, there's still special forces levels to that, right? There's tier 2, there's tier 1, there's dev group, there's all of these different things. And my point is to say that no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing, there's always going to be someone who can say, yeah, but you're not this, right? I went back to school after 28 years. After 28 years, I went back to school in 2024 and I got my bachelor's degree. But guess what? Next week, I'm going, no, not even next week, tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm driving to Sacramento to see my son graduate with his doctorate, his PhD. I have a bachelor's degree. He has a PhD. Very easily, he could be like, well, you don't have a PhD, right? There's levels to everything. So at the end of the day, even when you get your blue belt, you're just a blue belt. When you get your purple belt, you're just a purple belt. When you get your brown belt, you're just a brown belt. When you get your black belt, yeah, but you don't compete. You haven't beaten Gordon Ryan. You're not on the Gracie level. There's never going to be an end to what someone can say to discredit or to try and cut you off at the knees. So the only thing that we can do is not worry about that, not focus on that. And we have the opportunity to see these things. This is the absolute most important part of what I'm going to say to you guys, right? There is a saying in jiu-jitsu that every black belt is a white belt that didn't quit. Let me say this again. There's a saying in jiu-jitsu that every black belt is a white belt that didn't quit, that never gave up. Every positive, every helpful, every black belt that pours into their students and helps people find value in this sport and find value in themselves through this sport was once a white belt as well. So if you are seeing toxicity either in your school or online or in the greater community as a whole, and you're a white belt, this is your opportunity to pledge to yourself that you won't be that person. Because at some point in time, if you stay in this sport, if I stay in this sport and we get to that black belt level, we're going to have the opportunity to be the difference that we want to see. So this is a great opportunity for you right now to commit to not being the douchebag, to not being the troll, to not being the asshole, and to being helpful. Because we can make that change and we can make that difference. And I'm telling you guys right now that I personally have made that decision, and I'm hopeful that if you're one of the people that sees that type of toxicity in this sport, that you say, you know what, at some point in time, I'm going to be in a different position, and when I'm there, I won't be that. and that's what we can all do, okay? All right, guys, I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you're having a great day. Happy Monday, happy Motivation Monday, and please let me know, what are you guys working on this week? Chime in and let me know where you're at. What part of the country, what part of the world, where are you watching this from? Just let me know. It helps to motivate me and keep making these videos and keep pushing forward in the journey. All right, you guys be great. As always, take care. See you later.